The contribution of traders to the soundness of the Gupta economy is quite impressive. Two distinct types of traders, Sresti and Sartavaha, existed. Sresti was usually settled at a particular place and enjoyed an eminent position by virtue of his wealth and influence in the commercial life and administration of the place. The Sartavaha was a caravan trader who carried his goods to different places for profitable sale. Trade items ranged from products for daily use to valuable and luxury goods. They included pepper, sandalwood, ivory, elephants, horses, gold, copper, iron, and mica. The abundant inscriptions and seals mentioning artisans, merchants, and guilds are indicative of the thriving crafts and trade. Guild is a society of or other organization of people with common interests or an association of merchants. There are several references in several sources to artisans, traders, and occupational groups in the guilds. Guilds continued as the major institution in the manufacture of goods and in commercial enterprise. They remained virtually autonomous in their internal organization, and the government respected their laws. These laws were generally drafted by a larger body, the corporation of guilds, of each guild was a member. The Narada and Brihaspati Smritis describe the organization and activities of guilds. They mention that the guild had a chief, one, two, three, or five effective officers. Guild laws were apparently laid down in written documents. The Brihaspati Smriti refers to guilds rendering justice to their members and suggests that these decisions should by and large be approved by the king. And there is also mention of the philanthropic activities of guilds, for instance, providing shelter for travelers and building assemblies and houses, temples, and gardens. The inscription also records that the chief of the guilds played an important role in the district level administrative bodies. There is also mention of just the joint cooperative bodies of merchant bankers, caravan merchants, and artisans. The guilds also acted as banks. The names of donors are mentioned in this inscription. Usually, the lending of money is an extravagant rate of interest was in practice during the Gupta period. The detailed discussion sources of the periods indicate that money was used, borrowed, and loaned for profit. There were many forts that facilitated trade in the western coast of India, such as Kalyan, Chal Fort, and the markets of Malabar, Mangalore, Salopatana, Nalopatana, and Bandopatana on the Malabar coast. Fahin refers to Tamralipti in Bengal as an important center of state on the eastern coast. The ports and towns were connected with those of Persia, Arabia, and Byzantium on the one hand, and Sri Lanka, China, and Southeast Asia on the other. Fahin describes the perils of the sea route between India and China. The goods traded from India were rare gems, pearls, pine, textiles, and aromatics. Indians imported silk and other articles from China. The Guptas issued many gold coins, but comparatively few silver and copper coins. However, the post-Gupta period saw a decline in the circulation of gold coins. Art and architecture. By evolving the Nagara and Dravida styles, the Gupta art ushers in a formative and creative age in the history of Indian architecture with considerable scope for future development. Rock cut and structural temples. The rock cut caves continue the old forms by a great extent but possess striking novelty by bringing out extensive changes in the ornamentation, in the facade, and in the designs of pillars in the interior. The most notable groups of the rock cut caves are found at Ajanta and Ellora, Maharashtra, and Bagh, Madhya Pradesh, and Udayagiri caves, Odisha, are also of this type. The structural temples have the following attributes: flat-roofed square temples, flat-roofed square temple with Vimana second story, square temple with a curvy linear tower, Shikara, rectangular temple, and circular temple. The second group of temples shows many of the characteristic features of the Dravida style. The importance of the third group lies in the innovation of a Shikara that caps the sanctorum, the main feature of the Nagara style. Stupas were also built in large numbers, but the best are found at Samath, Uttar Pradesh, Ratnagiri, Odisha, and Mirpur Khas, Sindh. Sculpture, stone culture, a good section, specific one of stone culture is the well-known erect Buddha from Sarnath of the Puranic images, perhaps the most impressive, the great Vara, Varaha at the entrance of a cave at Udayagiri. The technology of casting statues on a large scale of core process was practiced by the craftsmen during the Gupta period with great workmanship. Two remarkable examples of Gupta metal sculpture are a copper image of the Gupta about 18 feet high at Nalanda in Bihar and the Sultanganj Buddha of 7.5 feet in height. Painting. The art of painting seems to have been in popular demand in the Gupta period than the art of stone sculptures. The mural paintings of this period are found at Ajanta, Bagh, Badami and other places. From the point of technique, the surface of these paintings were perhaps done in a very simple way. The mural paintings of Ajanta are not true frescoes, for frescoes is painted while the plaster is still damp, and murals of Ajanta were made after it had set. The art of Ajanta and Bagh shows the Madhya Desa school of painting at its best. Terracotta and pottery clay figurines were used for religious and secular purposes. We have figurines of Vishnu, Kartikeya, Durga, Naga, and other good gods and goddesses. Gupta pottery remains found at Achi Chatra, Rajgarh, Hastinapur, and Bashar offered proof of excellence at pottery. The most distinctive class of pottery of this period is the red ware. The Guptas made Sanskrit the official language and all the epigraphic records were written in it. The period saw the last phase of the Smriti literature. Smritis are religious texts covering a wide range of subjects such as ethics, politics, culture and art. Dharma Shastras and Puranas form the core of this body of literature. The Gupta period also saw the development of Sanskrit grammar and Panini who wrote Ashtadhyayi and Patanjali who wrote Mahabhashya on the topic. The period is particularly memorable for the compilation of Amaragosa. This is in Sanskrit by Amarat Sima, a Buddhist scholar from Bengal. Chandragomya composed a book on grammar called Chandra Vyakaranam. The Puranas, as we know, in their present form, were composed during this time. There were legends recorded by Brahmins. They were originally composed by bards, but now they were written in classical Sanskrit. Details on Hindu sex rites and customs are added to make them self-present religious documents. The Mahabharata and Ramayana got their final touches and received their present shape during this period. 18 major Puranas are listed. Of them are well known are Brahma Purana, Padma Purana, Vishnu Purana, Skanda Purana, Shiva Mahapurana, Markandeya Purana, Agni Purana, Bhavishya Purana, Matsya Purana, and Srimad Bhagavat Purana. Buddhist literature. Early Buddhist works were on Pali, but in the later phase Sanskrit came to be used. Most of the works are in prose and verse passages in mixed Sanskrit. Arya Deva and Arya Asanga of the Gupta period are the most notable writers. The first regular Buddhist work on logic was written by Vasubandhu. Vasubandhu's disciple Dignaga was also the author of many learned works. Jaina literature. The Jaina canonical literature that first took shape in Prakrit dialects as Sanskrit came to be the medium later. Within a short time, Jainism found many great scholars and by their efforts, the Hindu Itihas and Puranas were recast in Jaina versions to popularize their doctrines. Vimala produced a Jaina version of Ramayana. Siddhasena Divakara laid the foundation of logic among the Jainas. Samudra himself had established his famous Kaviraja. It is widely believed that his court was adorned by celebrated Navaratnas like Kalidasa, Amarasimha, Vishagadatta, and Dhanvantari. Kalidasa famous dramas are Sakuntalam, Malak, 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 Malavikagnimitram, and Vimarushvash, Vikramarvashyam. The works of Sudraka, Mrichkatika, Vishagadatta, Mudra Rakshasa, Devi Chandragupta, and the lesson known dramatists and writers have contributed to the literary and social values and this classical age. An interesting feature of the dramas of the period is that they highlight folk in Sanskrit, the common people folk in Prakrit, Prakrit language. In Prakrit language, there was patronage outside the court circle. The Gupta age consists the evolution of many Prakrit forms such as Suraseni, used in Mathura and its vicinity, Ardh Magadhi, spoken in Awadh, and Bundelkhand and Magadhi in modern Bihar. Nalanda was an acclaimed Mahavira, a large Buddhist monastery in the ancient kingdom of Magadha. The site is located about 95 kilometers southeast of Patna near the town of Bihar Sharif and was the center of learning from the 5th century. 1000 CE, 1200 CE, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, highly formalized model third of Vedic learning period divine inspired the establishment of large teaching institutions at Taxila, Nalanda and Vikramshila. Nalanda flourished under the patronage of the Gupta Empire in the 5th and 6th centuries, and later under Harsha under the patronage of Kanauj. Uh, the subsequent centuries had a time of gradual decline, a period during which Buddhism became popular in eastern India, patronized by the Palas of Bengal. At its peak, Nalanda attracted scholars and students from foreign journey all the way from Tibet, China, Korea, and Central Asia. Archaeological findings also confirm the contact with Sailandra dynasty of Indonesia, one of which kings built a monastery in the complex. Nalanda was ransacked and destroyed by an army from the Mamluk dynasty of the Delhi Sultanate under Bakhtiyar Khilji in 1200 CE, while sources note that the Mahavihara continued to function in a makeshift fashion for a little longer. It was eventually abandoned and forgotten. The site was eventually discovered when the Archaeological Survey of India surveyed the area. Systematic excavations commenced in 1915, which unearthed 11 monasteries and 6 brick temples situated on 12 hectares of land. A trove of sculptures, coins, seals, and inscriptions have also been discovered and displayed at Nalanda Archaeological Museum situated nearby. Nalanda is now a notable tourist destination, part of Buddhism tourism circuit. Mathematics and astronomy. The reinvention of the theory of zero and consequent evolution of the decimal system are to be credited to thinkers of this age. In Surya Siddhanta, Aryabhatta, belonging to the 5th and early 6th century, examined the true cause of solar eclipses. He examined in calculation the size of the Earth is very close to modern estimation. He was the first astronomer to discover that the Earth rotates on its own axis. He is also the author of Aryabhatiyam. Which deals with arithmetic, geometric and algebra. Varahamihiras, Brihat Samhitas is an encyclopedia of astronomy, physical geography, botany, natural history. His other words are Pancha Siddhanta, Brihat Jataka. Brahmagupta is an author of important works on mathematics and astronomy, namely Brahmasputa, Siddhanta, and Kandaka, Dhyaka. Metallic preparations for the purpose of medicine in reference to the use of mercury and iron by Varamira and others indicate that much progress was made in chemistry. The Navanitakam was a medical work which is a manual of recipes, formulation, prescription, Ayurveda, to the veterinary science authored by the Palakapya attests to the advances made in the medical science during the Gupta period. The last recognized Gupta, Vishnu Gupta, who reigned from 540 to 550. Internal fighting led towards collapse during the reign of Buddha Gupta. The Vataka ruler Narendra Sena of Western Deccan attacked Malwa, Makala, Kosala. Later on, another Vataka king Harisena conquered Malwa and Gujarat from the Guptas during Skanda Gupta's reign. The grandson of Chandragupta too. The Huns invaded northwest India. He was successfully repulsing the Huns, but consequently his empire was drained of financial resources.